All right, guys, thanks for checking out my channel. This is Short Slabs. Tyler Short here doing a video, much requested, Panini Prizm versus Panini Donruss Optic. This is front and center as basketball is underway, and guys, we get to watch Luka. I am so happy. We get to watch live sports. It has been a big weekend, and Luka Doncic stuff right now is just absolutely mind-blowing. But there is something here that we need to discuss. What should you be investing in? Panini Prizm versus Panini Donruss Optic. And why is it that the Panini Donruss Optic value to me is actually lower than what it really should be? And I think my hypothesis is that the Panini Prizm Luka Doncic card is actually holding down Panini Donruss Optic Luka Doncic's rookie card. Let me explain. So if we actually jump into some of the population report numbers that we have here, we'll see that there are some very interesting pieces to the data. Part of the story here is all in the population report. So this won't be a full comprehensive video of Panini Prizm, the history of Panini Prizm as a print run and a line through Panini America, and it also won't be the same for Panini Donruss Optic. Both of them are now encroaching on roughly 5 to 10 years of being a product line through Panini, but every single year it has been totally different in terms of a comparison between brands. And but for the most part, Panini Prizm is widely reviewed and regarded as the brand to invest in. It has been the brand to take over the reins from Topps Chrome once Topps lost their license, to carry on this chromium technology that we as all collectors love, and it is carrying on that torch through the brand Panini Prizm. However, what I want to focus on really is this Luka Doncic comparison between Panini Prizm and Panini Donruss Optic, and why, in my opinion, I think that Panini Donruss Optic is likely undervalued relative to Panini Prizm. So I have pulled up here the pricing data and also the population report, and that's really going to be my main focus for this video, as one key element. That is the population report. So if we look at the population report as well as the sales data, we see that the Prizm Luka Doncic has actually been trending up. And if you've been watching my hot lists, at least the most recent hot list, I've included Luka Doncic as one of the hottest cards in the market for the Panini Prizm. And mainly the reason why that is the case is because of the sales volume. There are so many of these copies being sold, and for such a high margin, very similar to the Zion Williamson from 2019. These cards are just in high demand. Now, the ROI differences compared to some of the other cards out there in the market are not as grand. However, a lot of people are interested in this card, and there are a lot of them out there. There are over 12,359 PSA 10s as of August 4th, whenever I did a screenshot. So this number continues to grow, and the average price and the most recent prices as of August 4th were trending right over $1,100, and I believe as recently as today that number's going closer to $1,200, some maybe even getting closer to $1,300. So that is something to definitely take into consideration, is the population report, but also the sales price. Now, if we look over at our Donruss Optic comparator, we get a little bit of a different story. So Panini Donruss Optic, Luka Doncic, card number 177, we have a substantially lower population report. So 2,202 Gem Mint 10 copies, almost an equal number of Mint 9s. Slightly, we drop off considerably going to 8s and 7s. So there's not as many 8s and 7s whenever you compare that to the Panini Prizm. But at the same time, the gem rate is much tougher. So even if we looked at the Prizm rate, we're really looking at a gem rate that is much higher than 50%. I mean, this looks, just not doing the math off the top of my head, but this is closer to maybe 60-65% gem rate. If we look at the Luka Doncic, it's a little bit over 50% gem rate, but not that much higher, maybe around, 52, 53, 54%. So it's a much tougher grade. It is a much tougher grade. The interesting thing, though, is if you look at the Gem 10 population report, there are 6 times more Prizm Panini Prizm PSA 10 Luka Doncic cards as there are the Optic PSA 10. 6 times the supply. It's the same player. It's the same shiny surface. You know, the interesting thing about the Optic card is it meets all of the criteria that we as chromium aficionados and collectors have wanted in a card. It is a true chromium I want to use the term parallel, but it's not a parallel. It's a true chromium design to a base set. So Donruss Optic has a base set. It's Donruss. So this is a chromium version of the base Donruss card. This is very similar to Topps and Topps Chrome. One of the big attractions to Topps and Topps Chrome was whenever Topps Chrome came out, it had this premium appearance because you had Topps, which was this base cardboard thing that nobody really wanted, and for the most part they never did really want it, and then you had Topps Chrome. Well, now we have Donruss, Panini Donruss, and then we have Panini Donruss Optic, which is essentially Panini Donruss Chrome. They just can't use the term Chrome because that would be copyright infringement, right? Panini Prizm doesn't have that. It's its own standalone product. It's almost like Topps Finest, although you could really say Select is more like Topps Finest, more like Bowman's Best. You know, it's its own chromium standalone product. It really doesn't have a comparator, but it was also the first to market. So that's very, very important. And because it was first to market for Panini, and it was really the first chromium type finish, that's one of the big reasons why it has such a mass appeal for its brand, in addition to the amazing 2012 double rookie class for Panini Prizm for its initial launch. That also didn't hurt matters. It certainly helped in terms of brand notoriety. However, as we begin to see these population numbers grow, especially through the years, and especially with Luka Doncic and the Prizm line, I can't help but wonder that Panini Optic rookie cards are being held back. The reason why I bring this up is I'm going to flash up on the screen here some Lamar Jackson and also Patrick Mahomes pricing data and use their Optic rookies as well as the population reports here as an example. Now, if we look at Lamar Jackson, his PSA 10 values are very, very similar to Luka Doncic in terms of average price and also the most recent price. So they're all trending in the right directions for both of these cards. There's obviously not as many Lamar Jackson's PSA 10s as there are Luka Doncic's. I think Luka was highly sought after at the draft, as was Lamar. But again, the basketball market is just totally different than football. But at the same time, we're talking about a very similar sell value. And Lamar Jackson, you know, he's not Patrick Mahomes, right? So if we look at Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, again, we're getting close to, we're right around 2,000 from a population report for PSA 10s. Even though we have a very similar PSA 10 rate, and the gem rate appears to be a little bit easier for the Mahomes card, the sales price is just nowhere near where, I mean, we're talking about a football card to a basketball card. Granted, Mahomes right now is the guy in the NFL. In basketball, we're still competing with Michael Jordan. We're still competing with Kobe Bryant. We're still with the active players. I mean, we have LeBron James. Giannis is unbelievably hot. Zion is the hottest rookie. I mean, there's just so much attention to the basketball market right now. But having said that, even if Patrick Mahomes is sort of living in his own vacuum outside of Tom Brady and Drew Brees and some of the rookies that may or may not be, you know, hot compared to basketball, that is a massive price difference. We're talking about $1,500 for a Optic PSA 10 Mahomes, which I'm very happy for. I'm certainly happy about that. I have a lot of those. But the Luka card, on the other hand, just lags behind. The reason why I think it's lagging behind, it just doesn't make sense for it to lag behind. But the reason why I think it's lagging behind is if you compare it to the PSA 10 Prizm, the Prizm's overall gem rate of having over 12,000 PSA 10s is creating an artificial ceiling, in my opinion, for the Optic card. Now, let me explain that a little bit. The PSA 10 Prizm, again, people have this brand notoriety. If you look at the Mahomes card, if you look at Lamar Jackson, their cards are selling unbelievably high because Prizm is king, right? And it just so happens to be that the Lamar Jackson and the Patrick Mahomes cards all have issues, whether it be the 2017 card and the 2018 card. They all have surface issues, and that's also keeping the population reports very low. So both of those grades and Gem 10 grades, there's less than 1,000 copies for their PSA 10, but it is still viewed as the card to get, right? But if we go over to the basketball market, all of our stars in basketball, for the most part, with regards to Panini Prizm, at least since 2017, the print runs have just gone nuts in basketball. And because of that, because the print runs have gone nuts, if there were an equivalent number of Gem 10 Luka Doncic compared to Patrick Mahomes, or Gem 10s compared to Lamar Jackson, obviously we would be seeing much higher Prizm prices for PSA 10s. But in my opinion, if that were the case, and we're going down some rabbit holes here, if that were the case, we also would not be seeing 680 to 700, now 750, I believe, as of today, Optic PSA 10 Luka Doncic. We would absolutely be seeing this card in the four figures for PSA 10s. But again, there's this brand perception. Optic can't surpass Prizm, at least not yet. That's just what everybody thinks. I think that's going to change, and I think there's going to be different micro-level effects in terms of, is Optic really the best card in this debate, or is Prizm the best card in this debate, or could it be, depending on the year, depending on the circumstances, depending on the brand, depending on the print run, depending on the surface condition of each set and each type of card, perhaps could we potentially see where an Optic card overtakes Prizm, and starts that trend, and then that happens over the long haul. It's going to be interesting to see over the next 2-3 years where the market goes, especially as people continue to submit their Prizm rookies as well as their Optic rookies to get graded. I'm very, very interested to see what happens next. But this is just my take. I think that the Optic card is incredibly undervalued as it stands today relative to the Prizm. The main reason why I think that is the case is because of the print run difference, and also the population report between a PSA 10 Prizm rookie and a PSA 10 Optic rookie. And because of that, I do believe that there's an arbitrage opportunity if you are so inclined to believe that Optic, being 6 times less available in circulation, should not be almost a 100% decrease, or 70 to 80% decrease compared to the Prizm counterpart. So that's my take. If I were going to put all my eggs in one basket, or if I were going to pick one to do better over the long term, and I rarely do this, but Optic would be my choice. Those are the ones that I've been buying to grade. Mainly I've been buying them to grade them, not because I think they're going to do better in the future, but because they're actually easier grades, in my opinion, if you can standardize for centering. So obviously there's a lower gem rate with Optic, but again, most of the issues with this card is that it is very, very poorly centered. So a lot of 9s out there are 9s because of the centering. So if you're able to find a really good clean centered copy, you've got a pretty good chance at getting a gem mint grade. Whereas Prizm, there's a lot of different issues that can go wrong with that card outside of centering, whether it be the surface, the edges, the corners. It's just a card that's very, very dirty in raw form right now. So that's my take on this. I would be moving towards Optic, and that's where I would be putting my resources if I had to buy one of these in a PSA 10 or PSA 9, or essentially any equivalent grade. So you guys let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you actually like these types of videos. I would like to do a Prizm versus Optic comparison here soon, just to do a quick review of the brands, the brand history, and also a head-to-head comparison by year, and also potentially predict out in the future which brand is going to be the winner long-term, so that you know exactly how you should be buying and investing if that's your sole intent. Obviously, if you're a collector and you want both, buy both. Enjoy this hobby however you like it, whether it's a collector, flipper, or investor. I'm here to give you the market analysis and also show you all the cool cards that get graded along the way, as well as bring you all the hottest news and hot lists as they become available. So thanks for checking me out. If this is your first time, click the video, like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. Let me hear what your thoughts are, and we will see you next time.